Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Wow. Okay. B'ezrat Hashem. Learning Torah Aleph, second Chelek. Likutey Moharan. So we started by saying that a Jew was created to have dominion over the malachim, over the angels. In other words, what the Rebbe is saying here, he's not saying that it is just a possibility that the Jew can get to that level. But he's saying that's the purpose of why a Jew was created, to have dominion over the angels. And it says, "They are tachlis v'asof shel Yisrael." And we said that being that this is the be all and end all of why the Jew was created, the malachim don't like it, and they are jealous. Now, jealous is not what we view as jealousy. I want something for myself, kind of like, I'm jealous of you. It's like a pettiness. It's a jealousy that stems out of a kavod of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's like when Pinchas was jealous on Maisa Zimri. This is a kina, this is a jealousy that stems out of the fact that malachim, there's no black and white by malachim. There's no gray by malachim. It's either black or white. The malach of Emes said, how can you create man? You're going to create man, he's going to sin. Because Baruch Hu is absolutely everything. How can that be? Something has to give. A world which is all HaKadosh Baruch Hu, everything is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They said that's the light that's shown during the 7 days of creation. That the person could see from the end of the world to the other end of the world. Meaning not just the physical world and not just all the galaxies, but also all the upper Olamus, all the way to Olam Atzilus. As we say, the Marishon was all the way up to the Shemayim. And the light that shone during this first 7 days, the 6 days and the Shabbos, means that a person would see the world for what it really is. In other words, you would see a Kadosh Baruch Hu in absolutely everything. When you look at the table, you see a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and it's a form of a table. When you see a bottle, it's a Kadosh Baruch Hu, it's a form of a bottle. Everything is a Lakus Gomer. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives life to everything, is Mekayim everything, is Mechaya everything. Like the Rambam says in his 13 Ikarim, Hu levade, Kadosh Baruch Hu alone is Osa, Oise, V'yasa, L'kol HaMaisim. He did, he does, and he will do everything which is done, which is beyond human comprehension. But fine, which means a person is taking the life force that he receives from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to defy HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to do something against the Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu? How can that be? How can that be? Says, how can you create men? That is the kina, that is the jealousy of the malach. There's a jealousy that comes out of feeling of being left out, of unworthiness. When a person feels unworthy, when a person feels, and there's jealousy that comes out of love, which is the jealousy of Pinchas. And the Zohar says that any love that does not have jealousy in it, is not true love.
What are they jealous of? You're saying
Any kind of love that doesn't have an aspect of jealousy in it is not true love.
it is a love between two people.
Yeah.
It has to have jealousy.
Yeah, and not only this, but Rav Nosson says, we have no Tinyan Aleph.
Exclusive?
What?
Okay.
Yeah, it's Tikkun Shalom. That
Yeah, in other words, the other person has something that he doesn't have.
no. That's not true love. That is not true love. True love is false love. That another person has something you don't, that's false love. That's not true love. It comes out of selfishness. This is not love. We're talking about true love. That's why the Torah, when the Rav Nosson says the Torah, when the Torah mentions the in Parsha Soito, that there's a spirit of jealousy that overcomes a husband. And the Torah gives two possibilities. One, that she actually was with another man, and he was jealous, and she was with another man. And the Torah says, and there's another possibility, there's a spirit of jealousy that overcomes him, and she was not with another man. And then there's the entire Pasha Saito, he takes it to Beis Hamikdash, the whole Indian, the Gemara, Mishnah Saito, the Gemara, and the Masechah Saito goes in great detail. Right afterwards, in the Torah, next to the Parsha of Saito, comes the Parsha of Nazir. Somebody that swears himself off, he becomes a Nazir, swears himself off from wine, whatever it is, it doesn't cut his hair, whatever. Now, Nazirus is, I think it's called asceticism. I'm not sure how you say Nazir in English. Anyhow, Rashi says why was Parshas Nazir? He says the Gemara brings it, Rashi brings it on the spot in the Chumash. Why was the Parsha of Nazir, follow? Why does it follow the Parsha of Saito? What's the connection? So the Rashi says, Al Pipshat, he says that if a person sees Saito Bekil Kula, Saito that is, he says, Yazir Atzmoi Min Hayayin. He should swear off all inebriating substances from wine. Because wine brings people to lightheadedness, and then it brings them to Averas and so forth and so on. But Reb Nosson says something else about this. He says, why was the Parsha of Nazir adjacent follows immediately after Parshas Soita. He says, because there's a Maisa, the Gemara says, where the Gemara brings Maisa, that there was a young lad, very good looking, and came to the Kohen, and he wants to become a Nazir. He had great hair and everything. A Nazir has to shave everything off, when he brings his korbanos and everything. First of all, he lets it grow, and then they shave it on, they burn it under the cauldron where his korban is being cooked. And so the Kohen asked him, he says, Mara Isa la'ashchis sa'orcha hanoeh. What's the reason that you saw fit, to ruin this beautiful head of hair that you have? So the young man said, I went to the well and I saw my image, and came the Yetzer Hara and wanted to drive me into sinning, to commit a sin. So I made a neder, to become a Nazir. He says he took a neder upon himself. He made a neder that he's going to give his hair to Kadosh Baruch Hu. He's going to. So the Kohen Gadol said to him, Yirbu Noidrin Nazirus b'Yisrael kamoicha. Alavai, that all those who are Noidrin Nazirus would be like you. In other words, that's Nazirus for the right reason. So Rabbi Nosson explains it's also an aspect of jealousy, of kina, that comes out of love. A love of a person to oneself. The Yetzer Hara comes and takes over me. And I find myself doing things that are way out of line. I mean, I totally disagree with that. I don't want to do these things. I don't know. Every person has his own, things that's already, for some people, robbing banks, for other people, watching movies, for other people, each one has his own boundaries. But he sees himself as I'm a prisoner in the hands of the Yetzer Hara. He just controls me. There's nothing I can do about it. And the person becomes upset. He becomes angry. He gets a ruach, a spirit of kina, of jealousy, of the Yetzer Hara for himself, that the Yetzer Hara controls him. How dare you control me? And he becomes jealous, and the kina he's making a nazirus, a neder of nazirus. In other words, I don't know if any of you recognize this kind of exasperation with yourself, with how easy peasy you are in the hands of the Yetzer Hara. It just plays with you like you're nothing. It's enraging. How dare he? That's the reason why Nazir follows Saito, because the Gemara says that the Ruach Kina is a Ruach from Kedusha. When it comes out of love, not when it comes out of selfishness. Not that.
Amen.
When the Yetzer Hara becomes jealous.
No, the person is jealous. He regards Yetzer Hara. The person regards himself, that his body, his corporeal existence is like his wife. The neshama is him. The body, whatever it is his wife. And the Yetzer Hara is like another man who takes over his wife. And he becomes jealous. and he's making a neder of Nazirus. That's Nazirus de Kedusha, and it comes out of love. A person loves himself. Not that he loves himself in the way that, that he wants the pleasures of this world. Because he really loves himself. He was created to have dominion over the Malachim. And the Malachim don't like that because, they are now between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and us, and they deem themselves to be superior to men. Why? Because man sins, and they don't. They don't understand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it so because serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the Yetzer Hara is a lot higher, a lot greater than serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu as a Malach. Malach doesn't have a choice. As the Gemara says, it says it's better 1 hour of mitzvahs and Torah, Masim Tovim, Betzar, when a person has to fight for it, than 100, 1,000 hours, Shalom Betzar, no, without Yetzer Hara. That's what the Gemara says, Godol Metzuva ve'oisa. The one who's being ordered, there's a mitzvah, go ahead and do this. This is what you must do. So it's an option. It's a good thing to do. If you're ordered, there's a mitzvah to do it, and it's greater. Why? Because if you're mitzvah, there's a special, it's a hard not to do it. It's optional, okay, why not? So then a person needs to keep himself safe from the malachim, from the kin of the malachim. The malachim was to push you off. And a person says, how do I, time out. Let's be realistic, okay?
The malachim collaborating with the Yetzer Hara or pushing that?
This is what I'm saying, is that the kin of the malachim results in the Yetzer Hara. The urges that you have, the bilbulim that you have, all come from the jealousy of the malachim to push you off.
That's not the klipas.
It's not klipas.
No,
We're not talking about klipas.
no, it's not to do with. What is it?
The malachim, the kin of the malachim, all the Yetzer Hara that the person has, comes from the kin of the malachim, and the averis create klipas. Then a person becomes trapped in the klipas, and the klipas suck from him. But so the Rebbe says that the person has to be very aware and guard himself from the kin of the malachim. He says, how can you do this? How can you safeguard yourself from that? Just connect yourself with the root of Nishmas Yisrael, the root of the Neshamas of Am Yisrael, which is the Bina. Knows all the Neshamas of Am Yisrael. All the Neshamas of Am Yisrael.
To connect yourself to.
With the root, the Sherish, which is this, this is the Shechina, this is even above that, is the Shechina, the Sphere Sabina, this is Kisa Kovod. That's throne of honor of Kodesh Baruch Hu, Olam Abriya. This is the root, the source of all the neshamas of Am Yisrael. When you connect yourself to the Sherish of Nishmas Yisrael, Enechinami, when you are separated, when you are an individual, neshama here in this world, you battle the Yetzer Hara. You battle the malach, that is the result of the jealousy of the malach. So that all the time that tests coming your way, and you have to overcome. It says, but the way to actually be safe from the kin of the malachim is to connect, to the Sherish of Israel, which obviously brings us, and this is Peter's Kisa Koven, and Rabbeinu brings the Moshe Rabbeinu went to receive the Torah, and the Malachim says, what is a human being doing amongst us? Because the Baruch Hu says he came to receive the Torah. The Malachim says, "Whoa, time out! Give it to us, give it to the Shammai, give it to those." So Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, "Give him an answer." Rabbeinu says, "I'm afraid that they will burn me up, with the vapor of their breathing." Kadosh Baruch Hu says, "Don't worry, hold on to my kiseh kavod, into the throne of honor." So go ahead, sit over there. Sit over there. Just push the stender away and come sit down. So Moshe Rabbeinu said to them, he says, "What's written in the Torah? Do not steal. Do not covet your friend's property. Amen. Do not covet your friend's property. Do not kill. All these things." So he said to Malachim, do you have marriage? Do you marry anyone? Do you steal? Does Yetzer Hara amongst you? The Torah has nothing to do with you, he told the Malachim. In this story, it is encapsulated this entire inyan. Moshe Rabbeinu comes to Hashem to receive the Torah. Receiving the Torah means getting dominion over the Malachim. The Malachim says, "Hey, what are the human being doing here?" That's the jealousy of the Malachim. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, "Give him an answer." Moshe Rabbeinu says, "I'm afraid they'll burn me in the vapor of their mouth." That's the kin of the Malachim resulting in the Yetzer Hara. The kin of the Malachim.
Is it that the Malachim weakens us from resisting the Yetzer Hara, or they're directly?
It causes the Yetzer Hara. I'm not sure if this is, if it's the source of Yetzer Hara, makes us more susceptible to. I'm not sure what this is, but the Shashain, you should know, we have absolutely no idea what is an essence of a malach, what is a malach. How much more so that we don't have any idea of what a human being is, and kal v'cham ben b'nosol kal v'cham, what a Jew is. We have absolutely no idea. Just to get a little bit of a notion, even though we can hear this and we're saying like we don't understand what this is about. What is Malachim being jealous and the Yetzer Hara comes from them? There is in Olam HaYetzirah, there is the Malachim. Olam HaYetzirah is called Chayos, living entities. V'Chayos Rotza V'Shoiv. They're bringing their messengers from Olam HaBriya to Olam HaAsiyah, up and down. And it is brought that the fire of Gehenna, Lo Aleinu V'Lo Aleichem, is the result of the sweat of the Chayos. Now, everything we're saying here is obviously allegorical. We don't understand pshat in this. In truth is, we don't understand pshat in any of this. But what we can understand from this statement, that Gehenna and Hadinur is from the sweat of the Chayos, means that the Chayos is a part of the Bria that connects HaKadosh Baruch Hu to men, that is governing the interaction between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and men. For schar and for oynish. So what does it mean, the sweat of the chayas? We don't understand.
Chayas is a category of malach, right?
Yeah. That from the sweat of this particular malachim, this category of malachim, the Gehenna was covered, which means a person who goes against the Ratzon Kodesh Baruch Hu is being burned by it. Which makes it understandable for us that the chayas, the malachim, are a part of the mechanism between the Kodesh Baruch Hu and us. To tell us things, to do the Ratzon Kodesh Baruch Hu, and to bring about the challenges to a person, and ultimately, when Chas v'Chalila, a person goes out of this world and is doing, if is supposed to be in Gehenna, whatever, it's also a result of that particular entity, which is called a malach. וזה בבחינת שרבנו says, ויבן השם אלוקים את הצלע שלקח מן האדם. Hashem has constructed, he has built the tzela, the side that he took from the man. Vayiven, he means that he built, he constructed. When it says Vayiven, the word Vayiven is Rosh Tevis Utkativ Yosed Vimkom Ne'emad Astakhem a stick in a faithful place, in a steady place. I created men to have a penis like an Adam, and I would stick him as a, how do you call the tent, the studs that you, the stakes. I stake him a stake in a faithful place, in a steady place, in a place that can be relied upon. By the way, that in itself gives a glimpse that emunah is not what the Goyim call faith. Emunah means faithfulness, ne'eman, trustworthy. You're faithful. Emunah does not mean what the Goyim mean faith. But they believe all kinds of legends, all kinds of, and they believe in it, okay. But for us, Emunah means that we're going through whatever it is we're going through, and we keep steady with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. We don't leave him. Don't leave him. Don't desert him. Kodesh Baruch Hu said, Zacharti lach, I remember to you, lechtech acharei b'midbar, going after me in the desert, be'eretz lo zruah, in an unsowed land. That is the emunah of, so the level of emunah that we are talking about is ne'eman, is faithful, trustworthy. And it says, I will stick him, make him a stick, give him something that can be dependent on. That Prince Memshalom, this is Targum, Yonason said on this particular pasuk, and I stuck him a stake in a faithful place. I will appoint him to be a faithful ruler in a steady, fixed place. But the stake is talking about Memshala, talking about a CEO, talking about a ruler, talking about dominion. It's a Memshala that needs to have faithfulness, needs to have longevity, needs to have a bitochen that it will stay. This is the tzela, this is the side. The tzela, the original tzela, is em kol chai, pchinas kisei hakovod. That's a kisei hakovod. Shoshen neshamas. That when you hold on to them, there's a koyach to stand in this memshala. You see, when Adam and Chava were created, they were created back to back as one entity. What does it mean, face and back? What's the difference? The face is where you can tell a person. It's interesting that the word panim, which is in Hebrew for face, means both panim, which means what is in front of you, ano panecha mo'odos, where are you heading to, where are you going to, this is panim. And it's also pnim, so inside. So the face is where you can see from the outside, the inside. You can recognize a person by looking at his face. You can see what his mood is. You can tell, where a person, from the back, you can't do that. So the face is where the strength is. The back is where the weakness is. When somebody comes to attack someone, where does it come? It comes from the back, because a person doesn't see in his back. If two people are well trained in fighting, and there are people coming on them, how are they going to situate themselves? They're going to stand back to back, right? So each one is guarding the other one's back. In other words, their weakness is being protected. And the force, the power, is facing out. They're protected. When a Kadosh Baruch Hu has created Chava by splitting the Zohar and the Nekeva, the Pchinas Nesira, and turned them ponim laponim, he has exposed the weakness in both of them, which is the neediness in both of them to one another. And now, because before, Adam and Chava were one thing. You were back to back. It was a single Adam. It was a single creature. Adam, created men, and men was constituted one side male, one side female. In other words, the oneness, the unity of Adam and Chava was like the unity of you and your arm. There's no question, there's no choice. There's no challenge in it. There's no weakness. I mean, Chava cannot go somewhere else without you. And I was like, I'm going to the mall. No, you're not. Yeah. Right. So by separating them, Kadosh Baruch Hu has exposed the back on each of them. Is lo nitzracha el mekom achatach. This is Kadosh Baruch Hu put sleep on men. It says, and he took the tzela, he took the side. And he says, and the Gemara says, Kadosh Baruch Hu only needed the place of where it was cut. It means the backs of both the male and female, which means the weakness is exposed. When they're separated, yes, they have face, where the strength is. But that's only when they are reconnected again. Because the wife has a weakness that can be protected only by her man, and the man has a weakness that can be protected only by his wife. Before they were connected without any weaknesses, which means they're also connected without any choice. It's like you cannot choose your arm. That's your arm. What can you do? That's it. But after they were split, now Adam says, when he brought Chava to him, Adam says, Apam He says, Basar mipsori, a flesh of my own flesh, etzem atzomai, a bone of my own bones. You know, Zosi Kora Isha, that's going to be my wife. In other words, now they become one, but from choice. They choose one another. Free will. Before, they were connected. That's it. There's nothing more to talk about. And very interestingly, that once, he says, why did Chava, after she was tempted by the Nachash, why did she give her husband to eat? She was jealous. She said she ate from the fruit that Hashem said that she's going to die. He said she's going to die, and Adam Arishon is going to marry someone else. So she gave him things, you better die also. Don't start up with your wife. Don't start up with your wife. I have a friend that recently got married, and he got married late, and he has all kinds of bilbul and whatever, and he speaks to me every now and then, and we spoke about this particular bilbul, and so I tell him whatever it is that he should do, but I told him one thing: don't you ever, 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 and let me emphasize, ever whisper a word of that irritation that you have to your wife. Ever. A word about the things that bothers you about your wife. The thing that bothers him about his wife. Something silly, whatever it is, so it drives him crazy. There's something first of all, it's a shtus, and second, there's nothing she can do anything about it. So I told him, don't ever eat. I don't care how upset you get. Don't breathe. Don't breathe.
Criticism.
Mention this thing. I said, because if chas v'chalila you will. If you tell her she's fat, if you tell her she's this, whatever it is, I mean, she can attack you, and you respond. You say, yeah, hello, what about you? You're fat. Whatever. That's it. You're toast. You're done. Ever. She will never forget. And she'll never forgive. She'll say, yeah, she forgives, and then whatever it is. Never, ever. Told this story. When we were young balachuvas, so my wife said, who comes first, me or Hashem? Talk about a catch-22, right? That's it. So, being a new balchuva, so Hashem comes first. Okay, no problem. 20 years later, I reminded myself of this conversation. And I asked my wife, do you remember asking me who comes first? She says, yes. Yes, I do. What about it? So I said, I gave you the wrong answer. She said, oh, so what's the right answer? So I said, you are number one. Hashem is number one for both of us. She said, thank you. 20 years. 20 years. Nothing. She never said a word. Didn't bother her. Nothing. Garnished. He's been eating at her. Yeah, it was eating at her. 20 years it bothered her. Baruch Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu reminded me, to tell her to give this answer. Ah, okay. Now I get it. Okay, fine. I'm number one and Hashem is number one. Okay, I can live with that. That there was a Sheva Brachas to my granddaughter. A young husband comes home, opens up the closet, and he sees nails in the closet. So he asks his wife, well, what are these nails? He says, every time you say a hurtful word, you don't like my food, don't like how I look, with this, I feel vulnerable and you don't support, whatever it is, I stick a nail in there. So how can I do something nice? So he said, stop saying, hurtful things, and the nails will slowly come out. So when he comes, he opens up the closet and he sees there are no more nails started. So he says, oh, look how wonderful, but the holes are still there. The nails are not stuck to the to the wall, but the holes are still there. So how do you fill the holes? By saying good things. That fills the hole. Ad kedei kach, the Zohar Kodesh says that if a person has a good thing to say about somebody and he doesn't say it, it's Lashon Hara. I mean, it doesn't consider Lashon Hara according, to Chafetz Chaim, but the Zohar said this is also Lashon Hara. Not only saying something bad is Lashon Hara, but not saying something good that you could say is also Lashon Hara.
Especially a man.
Vaday. I had a friend years ago said, our wives have earned the right to make us miserable. Our wives have earned the privilege of making us miserable. They're allowed. Yeah. It took me many, many years to understand that women are women. I didn't get it. Yeah, I know, they're women. There's something else. Yeah, there's something else. It's like they're not like me. It is something, they are something else. In truth, the vast majority of the divorces that are taking place, not all of them, but the vast majority of the divorces that are taking place is because the men want to be treated like women. Don't hurt me, don't hurt my feelings. What about my feelings? What about this? Oh. Okay.
You hurt my feelings.
You hurt my feelings. Okay.
I'm offended.
Yes, I'm offended.
By your insults. Right?
That's right. I'm just protecting myself. That's why I'm saying these things. And afterwards, I live to regret it. It took me many years of marriage to finally understand that women are something else. They're not like men. And I shouldn't expect them. I mean, I knew they're not men, but still, Yeah, it's like That's right. Absolutely right. But in Chava, the Tzela of Chava, that other side, originally, that's the thing that protects a person from the Kiddush HaMalachim. Now, the two people, when a husband and wife are really a unit, are like two martial art experts that are surrounded with enemies that are standing back to back to one another. They're protecting each other's back. The two swordsmen, and there are like 30 people coming to fight them. How can they do it? This one will fight this one, but this one will come. Well, from this side, okay, I'll take this one, you'll take this one. What about all the rest? So what do? They stand back to back. So they're facing outwards, each one with a sword in his hand. And like this, whichever place, the attackers will come, they have it covered. They're standing back to back. When a couple is, is functional, they have each other's backs. That's what the saying, to have someone's back. When a couple is functional, they literally have each other's back. They're covering the weakness of one another.
Looking at one another.
Yes. It's not the way that they're looking for the weakness of one, they're protecting the weaknesses of one another, is very often insulting. Putting down makes me feel yay big. And there's a huge desire to come and say, hey, like, what about you? And the essence of being a man is to agree to accept it. To agree, to accept looking at because the thing is that my wife knows me the way nobody else does. I can fool everybody except for my wife. So when my wife gives me a shtoch, it really hurts because she knows, where those points are. She knows, where so I can't answer.
And not the persona you're projecting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So she says whatever she says, and she's bullseye, So I want to push off that attack because it hurts. It makes me feel, a person comes home from working hard all day and he sees, a pile of laundry and his wife on top speaking on the phone. The dishes are not washed. There's a pile of laundry. The kids are running around. The dinner is not ready. And she is on the top of the laundry pile, speaking on the phone. And she looks and says, no, it's just my husband. Go on. Okay. You're feeling that small. Take it easy. You don't know what she went through throughout the day. You may have had a hard day. Okay. But you have no idea what she went through. Okay. That's one possibility. Second possibility is you have been ignoring and abusing basically your wife by ignoring her, by whatever it is. So this is her payback. She's giving you back because a woman is vindictive. She was born that way. There's jealousy because there's love. Any love doesn't have jealousy is not true love. And when I get it, I only get all I know. It hurts me. It makes me feel inferior. It makes me feel worthless. And she's right. So I can protect myself. The greatest gift that the husband can give his wife is to accept the shtoch. Accept it. And when you do, and she realizes, because the wife knows exactly what she's doing. She doesn't know it in words, but she knows it in intuition. And when you accept it, not because, as Rebbe says, it's not shtika in order to hurt the other person. I'm not going to answer you. Not that kind of being hurt. I accept it. You have a right to do it. Maybe I did something wrong, whatever it is, but I accept responsibility over it. I'm a man. I'm your man, and you can do that. The wife knows it on the spot. And before long, she'll turn around. Because all she needs is this affirmation. You're a man, you realize whatever it is, because when you accept, it's like this is what true compassion is. The first thing is you're able to.
She doesn't want to cry baby.
That's right.
She has children.
That's right. And she can be a crybaby herself. That's okay. But not you. You're the man. And this is, when you say, what does it mean, Chava? Chava was separated from Adam. That's the back, right? He says, what do you mean? I put a marker, the Mokum name on it, a CEO, a ruler in a faithful place, in a steady place. What does it mean? It means, when you can actually rule your household? When you accept whatever it is that your wife dishes at you, looking for not what is she doing to me? How does it feel when she's speaking to me like that? But when you're looking at her, you listen to what she's saying. Okay, whatever makes me feel doesn't make a difference. Where are these words coming from? If she says something painful, means that she is speaking from a place of pain. From a place of pain. She feels pain, and because a person who is in pain is painful. A person who is in pain himself hurts others. So if my wife is telling me something that is painful to me, that means she's speaking from a place of pain. To have compassion means not to, woe is me, but woe is her. What hurt her? I'll tell you a myself with this will we're going into marriage counseling. Anyhow, my wife told me something about us, whatever it is, and how inadequate I am, and whatever it is. And she was right. I couldn't answer anything she said. She was 100% right. And I was trying to so what can I say? I mean, to start defending myself, what about you? It's not going to work. I said, she's right. So I decided to Shmaya. And I said to her, listen, you're right. You're right, you're correct. But there's also good stuff between us. Not just, the stuff that doesn't work. There's also good stuff between us. I said, let's say what we like about one another. And I said, and I will start. And I said to her, when you are in a good mood, ever since I met you, when you're in a good mood, you are the funniest, most lovable person I've ever met. As a response, I got a laundry list of everything that's wrong with me. Then my wife tells me, this is the best conversation we've ever had.
Best conversation
we've ever had. Wow.
I heard over radio interview said the best thing for marriage is not to say, I love you, dear, so I was wrong.
Absolutely right.
I was wrong.
Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us with Elul, This is time for tshuva. Rabbeinu says, say Tehillim. Tehillim is sort of a tshuva. The Merabah, add on Tehillim. Add on Tehillim means if you don't say Tehillim at all, say one chapter or two, whatever it is Merabah. Just do a little bit more than you're doing right now. Anybody says it's good to go through the Bible, the Tanakh, the whole thing, until the end of Sukkot or something like that. And some learn go through Tikkun Zohar. Every person the way that he is. But the main thing that after we spoke about our dear precious wives, let's just remind ourselves that the Melech is here. My wife is number one for me. Kodesh Baruch Hu is number one for both of us. Kodesh Baruch Hu is here. Now in Elul Melech Basada, Kodesh Baruch Hu is in the field. Melech is in the field. As Rabbeinu says in the Sichos, I think that gives a mashal. It says that who is the ones that are going to be crowning the Mashiach? This is the simple people. It says once the king went with his ministers hunting, and suddenly there was a great downpour, and everybody ran to find shelter, and the king got lost. It was, they were dressed in hunting clothes, simple clothes. So it'll be easier, for camaraderie. If the king comes, nobody can speak to him. And so he got lost. He was soaked to the bones, and he found a house of a simple farmer. And he came in, he asked if he could find shelter. The farmer says, sure, come in. He saw a person who was soaked to his bone. He says, come on, there's the fireplace. Sit next to it, take off your clothes. He gave him some clothes, wear dry clothes, whatever it is, and then eat something, give him something to eat. And he said, why don't you lie down to rest a little bit? And then, and even the ministers, the rain stopped, and the minister discovered the king is gone. So we were frantic. They were looking for the king everywhere until they found him in the hut of this farmer. And they told the king, they can't take him back to his palace. The king says, you're not taking me to the palace. When the downpour, the day was coming down, each one of you was looking for your own shelter. This farmer took me in. He didn't know who I am. He took me in. He gave me clothes. He gave me food. I've never had better food in my life. I've never slept a better sleep in my life. I was never treated any better the way that he did. He's the one who's going to take me and crown me and put the crown on my head. The simple people. This is when the king is in the palace, to get to see him is a balagan. How do you get to see him? It's a problem. You have to go, whatever. But when he's traveling, he's in the field, he's more accessible. In Elul, Melech Basod, in Elul, the king is close to us. You can talk to him, you need to talk to him. Even one sentence, even your thoughts, as much as you can, for everything that you can. Yitzhak comes in, you call this a very Yisrael, you call this tshuva. That's a very Yisrael. It's a farmer, you're a farmer. You're a simple man. We're simple men. Shem Yazor, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll zeich to tshuva shleimo. B'ezrat Hashem, she'ed zaksiv achsim etoiva. Agid geben shto, B'ezrat Hashem. And B'ezrat Hashem, we'll go to Uman, B'ezrat Hashem. And B'ezrat Hashem, we'll zeich to geula shleimo. B'ezrat Mashiach. B'vias Mashiach tzidkenu, B'ezrat Hashem, soon in our days. Amen.
Amen, amen.
Kol tov.
Yes, God,
Sorry?
thank you.
Yes.